Somatic pleasure and Tantra is your next level nervous system regulation and healing. This has been the topic recently at my second date, speaking with friends on social media. And if this makes you curious as well, then this episode is for you. Before we're going to dive deep into it, let's take 3 conscious breaths to land. So we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and we're going to sigh it out through the mouth. Deep breath in and release. Another deep breath in through the nose and release. And before we're going to take the third one, give yourself full permission to lean into whatever the body desires to do. Is that softening the jaw, softening the shoulders, moving, voicing out louder? I'm going to take a deep breath in and release. I'm feeling a really tight, loving hug right now. Oh, such a beautiful shift with just 3 conscious breaths, which opens you up to experience pleasure, specifically somatic pleasure. Somatic pleasure and Tantra have changed my life because it has helped me to regulate my nervous system, to expand my capacity for it, to expand my window of tolerance, and it has also helped me to heal parts of me. And that is why I keep saying now that somatic pleasure and Tantra is your next level nervous system regulation and pleasure. Recently, I've been to a date number 2 with someone, and as it naturally happens, you ask, what do you do? And eventually I speak about pleasure lit. And pleasure lit is quite a spacious word, I would say. So you don't really know what it actually entails unless I then, unpack it a little bit. So I help women, specifically high functioning women, to break through these survival patterns and through the self-sabotaging into becoming and embodying the pleasure-lit woman. And the pleasure-lit woman is one who feels radiant, regulated, alive, and deliciously turned on by herself and life itself. And I do that through a process called pleasure-lit alchemy. And alchemy is a process that I came up with that has 4 stages, and it really takes you through transmuting, alchemizing those survival patterns into pleasure energy. And under all of that, under pleasure lit, there are quite a few different modalities that I have learned, studied, and also got lived experience with. And at times it was pretty, how do I explain all of that? Do I list all my modalities? But what I discovered over time is that really just one specific thing changed everything, and that is pleasure. This is also why it comes of pleasure lit. Your pleasure lit from within, and specifically somatic pleasure, because somatic pleasure is felt pleasure. Somatic is experienced with the body. It is felt pleasure. And when you think about it, somatic pleasure, you can't perform. You can't think your way into pleasure. Somatic pleasure is felt. And to feel it in your body, to notice it, you need to be present in your body. You start to feel safe in your body. And this is why somatic pleasure will break through those patterns of the survival nervous system states, of survival states of the nervous system. So as you can already hear, somatic pleasure intervenes or is very much connected to the nervous system. And that is very much connected to the healing journey, because those survival patterns of the high functioning woman, which can show up as being a perfectionist, being the independent one, being the reliable one, being the good girl, the people pleaser, the high achiever, high performing, high ambitious, highly capable one. These are survival patterns that have been adapted from the nervous system very early on. So those women usually have been growing up in an environment that either has been unsafe or where love was conditional. So they learned very early on to become the good girl, the one who goes along with everything and, doesn't do anything wrong, to keep herself safe or loved or both. Or the caretaker had to grow up really fast and take on a lot of responsibility, had to be the one in the family to manage everything. So she became the one everyone is relying on. Without you, everything would fall apart. Or the protector, I can't trust anyone. You're all unsafe, so I'm going to have to protect myself and I don't need anyone. And that will show up later on in adulthood as women as high functioning. So you're functioning, you're doing, you're capable, people pleasing, achieving, but you're not present, you're not alive, you're not feeling it. And eventually you're just like, is this it? Is this what life's supposed to be? And that is your nervous system that very early on learned, okay, I need to be in the survival state. But then in adulthood, never actually got out of it. It never got the memo, the message, the all clear signal of, hey, we're safe now. Now you can go into your regulated pleasurable nervous system state, in your safe state. So it becomes very chronic, running those survival patterns. As a high functioning woman, you could be a mother, a businesswoman, or maybe both. So you've got the career, you've got the children, you are maybe in a relationship, or you're single and have got high standards, as it would culturally be. Wow, you are so ambitious, so high achieving, and you've got high standards, and it's being celebrated. And you are people pleasing, you are genuinely giving and have got a lot of empathy, but you're never taking. And then you also attract a certain kind of relationship, certain kind of men, which I've also already gone into. And as you can hear, I just want to give you that little bit of an understanding that the connection is the nervous system being in that survival state and bringing that into adulthood. So over the years, it's running in this survival state nervous system. And because it is part of the nervous system regulation and healing, the somatic pleasure and Tantra is because somatic pleasure is what breaks through it, what gets you out of the survival state. Because to experience somatic pleasure, you need to be in a state that you actually slow down, which is like the opposite of the high functioning, who's doing. You actually slow down enough that you can actually be present in your body, present with yourself, using your 5 senses, starting to feel again, sensations, building self-trust, body safety, deeper connection to self, deeper self-love. And then once you open that portal to pleasure, that somatic pleasure, it will open even more portals to pleasure and has this ripple effect of bringing pleasure into all areas of your life. And before you know it, you start to embody the pleasure-lit woman who lives, loves, lead from pleasure instead of that high-functioning survival state. So this is why somatic pleasure is your next level nervous system regulation and healing, along with Tantra. And I say also your next level nervous system regulation, because nervous system regulation or nervous system work, as you hear, some actually teach this and guides this as to calm down, to relax, to just don't have the distress, no stress. But that doesn't actually equal regulation. So feeling calm and grounded, yes, is part of a nervous system. on nervous system regulation, but it is not the equal of the nervous system regulation. Regulation is actually the whole spectrum of it. That is your capacity to feel all your emotions. So you can still feel anger and grief, but it doesn't consume you. You're not getting lost in it, or you're not actually making decisions and action out of your angry energy, uncontrolled angry energy, and then you make quick decisions out of that state. No, a nervous system regulation means you have the capacity to feel all of those, including pleasure, but you can't have one without the other. So you're expanding your window of tolerance, your capacity to hold, to receive, to experience, knowing that you've got yourself, that you are safe, that you are deeply loved, being able to experience that. That's your nervous system regulation. And pleasure, somatic pleasure, is your next level nervous system regulation, because it goes further than just the down regulation, just the calmness and relaxation. We're actually bringing in aliveness, so that your nervous system not just only knows it is safe, but it is also alive. It is also allowed to experience pleasure. It is also allowed to thrive, not just to survive, but to actually thrive. And that is a part of healing. So as you can hear, that is a healing process. And pleasure alchemy is basically a healing modality, a healing process, because you are basically rewiring your nervous system, getting out of the survival state that has been your foundation for years, living in that chronic survival state. Now we are rewiring the nervous system, that we're actually living, leading, loving as a foundation from that regulated, pleasurable nervous system state. Yes, we can still go into survivals, because our nervous system's primary purpose is to keep us safe. So, but if there's actual danger and threat, then we can jump in to those survival patterns, but we can go back and have the flexibility to go back into our foundation, the regulated, pleasurable nervous system. And why I also mentioned Tantra in this, and this is where it got interesting at the date or with friends, where then the question comes, okay, I kind of get now the somatic pleasure, but like, where does the Tantra fit in there? Like, because specifically when I speak to someone who hasn't really explored Tantra at all, it usually jumps straight into tantric sex. So, okay, now you teach also tantric sex in there. Like, how does that help for the nervous system regulation and for the healing? Tantra is more than the tantric sex part that you might have heard about or connected with if you're completely new to Tantra. Tantra is actually very, very similar to somatic pleasure. And this is why I say somatic pleasure and Tantra is your next level nervous system regulation, because personally I see it just really depends on who do you speak with and who's got what kind of projections in regards to, oh, Tantra means tantric sex, this isn't for me, but somatic pleasure might be because it sounds better. But it's very similar actually, because Tantra is also felt. When you look at it, somatic pleasure is maybe a more modern neuroscientific word, where Tantra is more ancient. And they've already knew back then, many, many years ago, that everything happens in the body, through the body. So as I've explained, somatic pleasure as a felt pleasure, felt sensations, changing everything because you're fully present, using your senses. That is Tantra. Tantra is being in the body, being present in the body, using your five senses, being more mindful, more conscious, deeper self-love, deeper connection to self, experiencing everything with full presence. That is all connected to somatic pleasure. So Tantra is an expansion of it all. So once you connect with self, you really expand. And this is, again, like I said, when you open one portal to pleasure, you open multiple portals to pleasure, and it ripples through all areas of your life. So Tantra is not just the erotic and sexual pleasure. Yes, that is part of it, but it is actually part of daily life. And this is why also when I went on a date, I think it was a couple of months ago, and there was someone who also said, "Oh, I've been on to some tantric events and I really love the tantric approach. And moving forward, I only want to be in a relationship with someone who is going to do tantra with me." And I found that quite interesting. And then I started to explore that a little bit, because something that I've learned over the years is people can say a lot, but actually asking the right questions, you will explore, are they actually integrating? Are they actually embodying it? Are they actually really living what they're doing, what they're saying? Because some are really good in saying certain things to bring it across the way we might want to hear it, but they are not actually following through with the actions. And that's what's actually going to notice and land in my body. And through exploring with some questions, I realized this person hasn't integrated Tantra into their day-to-day life at all. It was just to focus on, oh yeah, the intimacy at events, which I then found very interesting and said, but what are you doing for self? How do you connect deeper with self? What do you include in your day-to-day? How do you live? How do you love? Like what's your values? Like why is it important for you with the Tantra? And we quickly realized that he had no idea. So that was something that I passed on, and, like a little gift leaving the date, that might be something to explore. Where now on this date that I just recently had, the questions were also there. Okay, how does it look like? How do you bring Tantra into it? How do you teach it? And I was able to really explore a little bit more in depth, explain a little bit more in depth. And I could also see and hear and feel the curiosity, to the point it's like, I actually think I might like to explore this. What would you suggest? Where could we start? And I love that, because that curiosity really has shown me this person is interested into exploration, into the felt experience. And you don't have to go, like, just as a side note, for date nights now, for meeting someone. If you like to explore Tantra with someone, start very, very simple. The felt experience in the body. And when you are with someone, it is about the connection to each other. You can do eye gazing. Eye gazing sounds very simple, extremely powerful. Powerful in building deeper trust, deeper connection, because it's very vulnerable. If you haven't done any eye gazing before, start with yourself. Sit in front of the mirror, eye gaze into your own eyes. Even that is extremely confronting if you've never done it before, because you start to see yourself. You start to see yourself. And when you then do that with someone else, the first time I've done eye gazing with someone, that was, I think we wanted to do it for a minute. Oh, it was the longest minute ever. It was so uncomfortable. It was so awkward. I started laughing. Then I was like getting serious. Then I was just like, I wanted to look away, but I was still looking, and it gets so, like, the resistance is coming up. But that's a good sign. That usually means lean into it, start to explore it. And over time I've done it, it became easier. Not just easier, it became a delicious way of connecting. Really, really delicious. You're going to have to give it a go for multiple times, not just once. Give it a go for a few times to feel the difference. And as I said, you can start with self and then you can try it with a partner. Another simple tantric practice is breathing together. You can put the hands on each other's heart, and then you can feel each other's heartbeat. And then you can sync or alternate your breathing. So alternate, one can go first and then you do the opposite. So when one breathes in, inhales, the other one exhales, and vice versa. And one is the one who's leading. Or you can sync it and you breathe in and out together. And then you start to actually really become one. And that is such a delicious way on connecting deeper as well. And as you can hear, they are not dramatic complex. They are very simple, but that are tantric practices that can open you up to experience pleasure, somatic pleasure. And that is also co-regulation. That is nervous system regulation. It can also be very healing. So as you can hear, this is why I now close the loop by saying somatic pleasure and tantra is your next level nervous system regulation and healing. And this is why it is the core work of Pleasure Lit, and also the core work of my signature program, The Pleasure Lit Woman, an 8-week program for high functioning women to break through or transmute those survival patterns into pleasure energy. So you can finally start to feel fully alive and radiant and regulated and deliciously turned on. Within the Pleasure Lit Woman program, I guide you through my 4 stages of pleasure lit alchemy. This is first regulation. So I'm going to meet you where you're currently at. Then we're going to rewire your nervous system. Then we're going to reclaim your pleasure, your aliveness, your radiance, which then leads into the 4th, which is your radiance. You're starting to actually embody the pleasure lit woman, to live, love, lead from that state of pleasure instead of pressure or survival. And because it is so important to actually work with the body, you've probably already done some self-help healing work, some self-development work, you've read books, listened to podcasts, you've done some mindset work, or a lot of cognitive healing work or inner work where has been a lot of reflection and cognitive, so a lot of mind work, but you haven't actually done much with your body. It hasn't landed in your body, and your nervous system only rewires through the body, not through the mind. The more you can give your body new somatic experiences that are safe and delicious and pleasure lit, the more it learns that that is your new foundation. The more it becomes familiar with your regulated, pleasurable nervous system state. And the more it becomes familiar with that, the more it chooses that, and the more you're going to be in that pleasurable, regulated nervous system state. And this is why, again, closing the loop, somatic pleasure, tantra is your next level nervous system regulation and healing, aka pleasure lit. Now, if this sparked something inside of you, this is your invitation to join us within the Pleasure Lit Woman and Circle. You can find more details and how to join at pleasurelit.com. And that is why the Pleasure Lit Woman program doesn't only have educational content like masterclasses, but the actual practices, somatic practices, embodiment practices, tantric practices and rituals, because we really integrate, we really embody it, we are really getting into it with the body. We are working with the body. I am looking forward to connecting with you within the Pleasure Lit Woman program and circle. Now, I would love to hear from you. What has been your experience with somatic pleasure or tantra or nervous system work or healing? Where are you currently at? What have you already tried? What has been your experience? What have you taken away from it? And also what resonated from this episode with you. So you can leave a comment to share it with all of us. And when you've liked this episode, make sure to follow and subscribe to the channel, give it a 5-star rating, and also share it along so we can spread more pleasure into this world. To access my free Pleasure Lit workshop, go to pleasurelitwithpatricia.substack.com. Sending you lots of love and pleasure. Mwah.